Fela and Bẹ́ẹ̀ Kọ́lọ́lárí, the former a renowned musical legend. She was the first female student of Abeokuta Grammar School and the first female to own and drive a car in Nigeria. The award recipient of Member of Order of Nigeria MON and Lenin Peace Prize, was born 25th October 1900 and was killed on 13th April 1978 by rampaging road soldiers in Lagos. Western Spring Television identifies Funmilayo Ransom Kuti as a watershed character in history.
Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
And definitely we are live. Thank you to our director hopping here. Good morning to you wherever in the world you are viewing us from. This is Western Spring Television. We are transmitting live and direct on channels 190 on the DTT on Star Times. And it's always a massive pleasure to be here Mondays through Friday on this program, Morning Spring. Your regular host, we are here, and the midweek edition is always a little bit on the lighter note, and so such a time to be excited and making it so very interesting. And we promise you it surely will be like that. Tunde IDOWU is my name. As Irresistible TD, simply irresistible, you know, on Twitter. Good morning to...
You can blow your trumpet.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
The irresistible thing.
Yeah, it's simply...
Well, let's agree.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, world. Distinguished viewers all across the world. We welcome you this morning to this program. Today, Morning Springs on Western Spring Television. The channel where we say it as it is.
No doubt.
That's what we do here every weekday, analyzing, critiquing issues of public importance.
Yeah.
So first we go through the dailies and then we get talking with different people from all walks of life. My name is Femi Oju, and I'm very happy to welcome you to the program this morning. Just like Tunde said, it's the midweek edition, today being Wednesday. The 9th day in the month of August.
Wow.
Yeah, 2023. You know, as we sleep and then we wake, each day passes, a different day, each day with its own challenges, and that's what we rise up to every morning to surmount and then to be the best that we can be. And of course, that's what you should do as well. Be the best that you can be. Blaze the trail, and then, you know, you come on top irrespective of the challenges. Even at the national, at the subnational level, there will always be challenges.
Absolutely.
How we go around it, how we go through with it is what really, really matters. And you know, talking about challenges and surmounting challenges, and things we do to improve situations whenever these challenges come. The WTO chairman, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, was at the villa yesterday to see the president, and he said, okay, she was there, not really at in the capacity of being the DG, really, of the WHO, but as a Nigerian, as somebody who is really interested in the well-being of Nigeria.
Absolutely.
She met with the president, you know, commended him, and spoke, addressed the press later, and said they are going to see how they will help the situation, especially people. That's what got me interested. People at the grassroots, how they could help people, especially at these trying times. And you know, these are the things you see, and you are happy that even Nigerians doing well, their chosen field, that's the top echelon when you talk about economy of the world. And the same woman who had been a part of the cabinet in previous administrations, coming back to lend a helping hand, using our office and our personality as well. And I think kudos to Okonjo.
Yeah, no doubt about that. That's one woman I admire greatly ever since she was in the previous administration with former president,
coordinating minister
for the economy. Amazing woman, very amazing, and it speaks to the fact of how brilliant that woman must have been even while growing up. And
even Nigerians.
No, seriously, look at
a brilliant people.
It's just
that's what we are.
I don't know. Seriously, a set of brilliant people. Honestly, I just wish government at all levels will just tap from the great sources that are brilliant people. Of people.
People.
Honestly, it's because that's one of the things I feel that in the US and the United Kingdom, this once you are noticed and they get to see you, hey, they grab you.
Of course,
they grab you. All right. Quite a whole lot we'll be talking about on the show this beautiful Wednesday morning, the midweek edition of Morning Spring, live from Western Spring Television. The newspapers are readily available, but the guests are coming in. We'll be talking to them in the course of this. Please stay with us. We'll take a short break. We'll be back.
Evening.
Hi.
King Eve, how are you today?
I'm good, I'm fine, I'm alive.
I really feel like she's not giving the right answer to the question. When one asks you,
sorry,
I'm alive. It's very annoying, seriously. How are you? I'm fine. I feel I'm fine would be the right answer instead of I'm alive. Not that I asked you if you're dead before.
Go and check all these 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old, everybody, they are extraordinarily sexually active.
I feel is being unnecessarily hyper when it comes to the issue of sex, because we talk about other topics and it feels so reserved. It really doesn't have anything much to say when it comes to other stuff. But when it's the issue of sex, I believe he's being unnecessarily hyper. That's when I have to pick an issue with him. I mean, it's just been unnecessarily there when we're talking about sex. Just like a child, his mom just got him his favorite chocolate or ice cream, very happy, doing as though if he doesn't have sex for a day, he's going to die.
When it comes to finance, women also support their husbands financially. You need me emotionally. You need me spiritually.
Cassie is an amazing person, but I hate the too much attachment to that gender. I need you spiritually, I need you mentally. I can get these things anywhere with money. If you go by the topic was, who does marriage favors the most? I know how many jobless women they marry every Saturday. They are saying it favors you, At the vex, so.
Growing up, when I was in the world, we've heard of
Who are you now?
Well, MC Too Much said, he likes saying when I was in the world. And the last time I checked, but it looks a bit innocent, facially, but deep down, is he actually out of this world? We're all in the world now. As long as you're alive, you're in the world. So MC Too Much, I beg when you talk about that. I don't want to hear that. Next time you talk about I kiss my voice.
I think I have a problem with you saying ladies are champion, and that's the problem. Always trying to attach so much importance to that gender.
It's giving insecurity, it's giving low self-esteem, it's giving a blatant display of egoism. Because at the end of the day, a man who is secure in his word, a man who is confident of who he is, will not really be disturbed as to whether women are being referred to as champions or not. I mean, at the end of the day, Joseph's a really great guy, but whether he likes it or not, women are champions.
Funmilayo Ransom Kuti was an educationist and advocate of women's rights. She was recognized for her vitriolic comments against colonial policy of taxation as it affected the Nigerian women. Bere, as fondly addressed by her women followers, Funmilayo championed the initiation of universal adult suffrage, which gave an unprecedented leeway for women to contest elective offices and power to exercise voting rights. Married to a foremost educationist and teacher, Israel Oladotun Ransom Kuti, the first president of Nigeria Union of Teachers, Funmilayo Ransom Kuti was the mother of children who inherited her spirit of activism. Olufela and Be Ololari, the former, a renowned musical legend. She was the first female student of Abeokuta Grammar School and the first female to own and drive a car in Nigeria. The award recipient of Member of Order of Nigeria MON and Lenin Peace Prize was born on 25th October 1900 and was killed on 13th April 1978 by rampaging road soldiers in Lagos. Western Spring Television identifies Funmilayo Ransom Kuti as a watershed character in history. Olayinka Herbert Macaulay, politician, nationalist and journalist, was the first Nigerian to qualify as a civil engineer, surveyor and architect. Born on November 14, 1864, Herbert Macaulay was the founder of Nigeria's National Democratic Party, the first political party in pre-independent Nigeria. Scholars of Nigeria's political history describe Herbert Macaulay as the intellectual bulldog of 19th century Nigerian nationalist movement, in the deference to his qualities as founder and leader of two foremost political parties, Nigeria National Democratic Party (NNDP) and National Council of Nigerian Citizens (NCNC). His matchless versatility in party organization and control kept the British colonialists on their toes in the entire span of his active life. After his death on 7th May 1946, Herbert Macaulay remains a hero of his country, which recognized his anti-colonial struggles. Today, Nigeria's 10 naira coin bears his oval face and trademark moustache. Western Spring Television identifies Herbert Macaulay as a major character in history. Kiriji War, also known as Ekiti-Parapa War, was waged among Yoruba main ethnic groups which emerged from the ruins of the falling Oyo Empire that were desperate to replace the awesome powers hitherto wielded by the Alaafin of Oyo. The Kiriji War is defined as a conflict of confederacy and unitary political system championed by Yorubas of different socio-economic and political interests. The Ibadan military aristocrats felt they deserved a dominant position for saving Yoruba land from being totally submerged by the Fulanis by their victory in Osogbo War of 1840 and Ijaye War of 1862. Kiriji War, that took its name from the booming motor sounds of European arms, festered for so long because the Industrial Revolution in Europe provoked high standards of slaves. The 16-year Civil War also caused the emergence of new powerful kingdoms like Ibadan and the rise of powerful personalities like Oluyole, Ogunmola, Kurumi, Latosha, Shodeke, Fabumi, and Ogedengbe. One of the fallouts of Kiriji War was the birth of creative political and leadership structure in Yoruba land that was a blend of federalism and the autocratic monarchical system. Western Spring Television identifies Kiriji War as a watershed event. The Korean War of 1950 to 1953 pitched North and South Korea against each other in response to intrigues by nations beyond their border with different interests from those canvassed by the two brother nations. The Korean War had all the nuances of an external conflict induced by powers that were interested in subjugating North and South Korea. Japan had leveraged on its military power to annex Korea in 1900 and imposed a military union that did not sit well with the citizens. Japan not only lost its war of conquest against Korea, all its powers were obliterated by the effect of the World War II. The end of World War II got Korea divided into two nations along 38th parallel lines by the instrumentality of the United States of America and the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic. The Korean War lapsed into a Cold War when it stopped the prying eyes of external forces into the internal affairs of a nation now divided along its north and southern territories. Western Spring Television identifies the Korean War as a major event in history.
Okay, thank you for being there with us. Good morning. If you're just joining us, it's still Morning Spring from Western Spring Television. The papers are readily available with us and for you this morning. 4 of them are definitely here, and quite a whole lot of stories making the rounds. We will serve them to you as it has been stated. The Punch newspaper is very much alive. The Nation newspaper, also Daily Trust newspaper, The Guardian. Let's kick things off from the papers, and the Punch newspaper will be the first daily I will be reeling to us here. The big bold caption on the front page of the Punch newspaper: has that story that concerns Niger Republic, and it's been in the news for the better part of almost 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
And wow, we just hope something will take place very shortly, and all these buhaha will actually come to a rest. But the big bold caption there says, Niger, ECOWAS plans fresh sanctions on Burkina Faso, Mali. UN talks fails. Then the writer there says, ECOWAS leaders meet Thursday after botched AU, UN, US planned visit to Niamey. And over 100,000 IDPs stranded in Niger. Businesses grounded in Sokoto, Katsina borders. This is what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Look at that large number of people who are stranded at the borders now. What will they eat? What will they drink? How will they sleep under good protection? Now, this is the point at which vulnerability comes into play, and it sets in. Looking at what this the bandits, terrorists, it's an opportunity to grab people and militarize people. Look, seriously, it's not really a good time.
If care is not taken, we have a humanitarian issue, crisis on our hands. It is not well handled, because the thing is, looking at this state, Sokoto, KB, Katsina,
yes,
these are border states.
Honestly.
And people in this state, especially in those towns, do business with the people on the other side.
It's just like you moving
daily.
Exactly.
So definitely the borders are officially closed. Business wouldn't be as usual.
Absolutely.
Definitely there is problem on the other side. It's already affecting people on this side. So the economy of that place is affected, grounded. You know, people, for farmers who trade their produce, you get to see some of these things getting spoiled.
Well, just there.
And then, you know, it's a whole lot, really. For us, possibly in the southwest, in the southeast, you might not get to appreciate the enormous, the enormity of the issue, especially at that other side. So it's not just Niger that is having problems.
Absolutely.
Nigeria, especially people in that part, gets to feel it too, as they are feeling it on the other side. The uncertainty in Niger definitely is affecting business, livelihood, and you just talk about the security angle.
Absolutely. Yeah, really. And looking at these borders, as they share, Nigeria share borders with this country, it's just like you moving out from Western Spring Television, you're going to River FM.
Of course.
That's just like you just
walking.
And here,
simple.
Here, ECOWAS is planning fresh sanctions on Burkina Faso, Mali. Wow. As much as we are praying and we are hoping that things are resolved amicably and swiftly, so that the little kids and you know the most vulnerable people at this moment in time will be the women and the children. But because the men, before you know it now, they are rough handled, they are hijacked, they are kidnapped and killed and probably brought into this group of bandits. But it's not really. Ever since I saw this news earlier today, I was like, wow, what's happening? It's escalating. Moving on from the pages of Punch newspapers still, Tinubu sets 30-day tax reform target. UI students make panel. What do you think of President President Bola Ahmed Tinubu trying to bring in the youths and
young persons? He has been touted by his handlers and his supporters, talking about the president now, President Bola Tinubu, that he has a affinity for the young people, to identify and to work with them. And I think in a kind of way he's showing maybe the choice of some of his minister, you know, the nominees, the screened ones now. And the news when it came out yesterday about this young lady, a student, being part of the tax reform, you know, group or committee, it sends a right message. But then, you know, as a Nigerian, as a young person, what you ordinarily think is the fact that how did this young lady get there? Who does she know? But beyond that, possibly beyond who she knows, it speaks to her brilliance. Absolutely. And then as, again, as every Nigerian, you just think this young lady is made for life because she's still in school.
Honestly.
And then she's, you know,
being able to get into this kind of
in
community.
this kind of settings. And then definitely we can't take away her brilliance. Irrespective of who you know, there must be something about you that people that speaks for you know that you carry before they can, you know, speak for you to be there. I think it's kudos for her being a young person and being a lady. For that matter, in this,
you know, it speaks volume for someone like me. I look at it and I say, if things like this can continue, if government at all levels can recognize young people, the aspect of Yahoo probably decline, and the aspect of I want to jackpot, the aspect of whereby we're probably into drugs, into prostitution, vices, all those social vices will probably begin to reduce in this country when we are involved in things, when they're given responsibilities.
There is a future for them.
Absolutely, exactly.
It's fear of the unknown, of course, peer pressure. What happens? I've seen what happened to my father. I've seen what's happening to the people around me. I don't want to go to that road. And I just cut corners to get there. That's not an excuse, by the way. That's the reason why some of these young people go to whatever they do, those social vices. But then when you see things like this, and just like we have said, replicated across the states, based on merit.
Based on merit.
Because there's a way it can be politicized.
Yeah, based on merit.
Based on merit, I think it sends a right message that keep doing what you are doing. It might just be identified. It might not be in the government setting. It might be in a leadership role. And of course, you know that the government of your country, government of your state, the government of your local government definitely cares. And they are watching out for you.
Yeah, because it takes me to that very young lady, Malala. I think is she Pakistani or Indian? Look, globally, that lady is well known.
Advocate.
Look, so we just admonish our dear youths out there at this moment in time. Look, rather than indulge in social vices, all these very negative social vices, why don't we just grab the opportunity of getting to do the needful?
Keep doing your thing.
Somebody out there.
Somewhere is watching.
There was a time I saw, I think this guy is a crippled young man. I think he's crippled. But if you see his artistic works, oh my goodness.
Lovely.
I'm looking at one of these days, I'll be able to bring him on one of our programs on probably Spring Daylight on Saturdays. That's the kind of life. A cripple, he's not giving up hope that because of his deformity, he can't make it. And then he will draw you, honestly. Let's move on here.
And for students of UI, or the alumni, you are part of them.
I decided, I actually I didn't want to flaunt that. The other time when I said irresistible, no be joke.
All right.
Congratulations
to the young lady.
Congratulations to the young lady. Edo PDP sues for peace between Obaseki and Deputy. We just hope Mr. Governor, Godwin Obaseki, and the Deputy Governor Shuaibu will find peace, allow peace to reign in Edo State. I read this morning, I saw something from one of the dailies as well, read the story of the journey, how it began. These guys were allies of former Governor.
So then you know what? We wish them all the best.
Okay, let's just...
That's it.
Father blames hospital for elevator death. Doctors buried. May the soul of that young lady rest well. We sincerely commiserate and condole and console with the family at this moment in time as well. 35 MDAs shun reps job racketeering probe. Wow, that's story.
That's a huge thing that we have on our hands. The racketeering.
Femi,
the allegations and counter-allegations,
my brother,
is deep.
At this moment in time, for me as a Nigerian, I'm beginning to feel there's going to be a new turnaround, a new dawn. And by the time we get to expose, things have been exposed and measures are taken concerning all these things that we are hearing. All right.
Exposed and prosecuted.
Then everybody begins to tighten up. It's a gradual thing. No matter whose horse is gone. Look, everybody will fear that, hey, I don't want to be embarrassed. I don't want to give my family a bad name. It's a gradual thing.
And your political affiliation notwithstanding.
Seriously.
Being called into question and being held accountable for what you're doing.
I keep saying it. If you don't want your secrets that you had done 50, 40, 100 years ago to be exposed, you probably don't go into politics. But the fact remains that not even just politics nowadays, to get an appointment, to get something worthwhile, let's just be good.
It's life, really. Life happens. And then either in politics or in religion or in business, just know, just like we say, is every day for the thief.
One day for the owner.
One day for the owner.
Let's
looking at, before we leave that point, the things that are being unveiled at that probe, the allegations from the commissioners of the, we are talking about Federal Character Commission. So sometimes you wonder the irony, considering what we are hearing, it's the allegations, by the way. The commissioners alleging something huge against the chairman. The chairman counter-alleging and saying these are the things being done by her commissioners and the kind of figures. For somebody to get a job, they are paying 1 million, 1.5 million. So what's the salary? So is it for the service? Or definitely, if somebody is paying 1.5 million to secure an appointment, and you expect the person to get that job and do it conscientiously,
that person will want to defraud in any way.
The process is already flawed. Who are the ones selling this? Now, one of them allege and say, yes, we are involved. He is involved in the matter, but then there is a pause in which they are remitting to. Come on. Let's tell our reps, members, senators, National Assembly, these must not be swept under the carpet.
Honestly. Let's look at the top strip of the Punch newspaper. Labour rejects Bayonle on subsidy negotiations, writes National Assembly. We'll just hope things will be sorted out amicably there. And other stories there. 22, is it 2 or 20? Okay, this is from the top strip there. 20 billion naira debt. Banks offer telcos repayment plans. The earlier the better, before we know that the consumers, the customers will bear the brunt for this. Now, this was a very sad one. When I heard this news yesterday evening, Tinubu, Sanwo-Olu church members mourn Pastor Odukoya. No. As much, I don't know him personally, but he's one man of God. I followed his mission, his statements. I've looked at his preachings. I've heard his preachings.
Quite energetic,
very
charismatic, expository kind of pastor, really. His kind of teachings are expository ones.
Oh, goodness me.
He was a teacher now. It's difficult to
he's more of a teacher than a pastor.
Because we have to say was now. There's no more. Definitely somebody who is always giving hope to the people. There is no way you listen to him, you won't find that message of keep going, don't be underground. And then yesterday, when the Fountain of Life Church, that's his church, made that release on their social media handles, I was like, are you joking? When I saw it, then I went there, the official handles, and I saw that, it's true, he died in America. Really. And our thoughts and prayers with the Odukoyas, really, at this time, their daughter, Tolu, other children as well. Definitely, he lost his wife like a year ago or so. When he remarried, apart from the late pastor Bimbo Odukoya, but now he has passed on, really, again, very saddening, really. And that's why you see the president, the governor of Lagos State, coming out at this time to commiserate with Fountain of Last Church, especially the Odukoya family as well. That's a loss to the Christian body in Nigeria.
That will be all from the Punch newspaper.
All right, we move at this time to the Daily Trust. The Daily Trust for today. ECOWAS slams fresh sanctions on Niger. Junta with riders. Junta rejects diplomatic overtures. Names ex-minister as prime minister. Okay. ACF wants sanction lifted. No option taken off the table Tinubu's spokesman, and we are pushing for negotiation. That's coming from the US. Of course, you have the picture there of the tax reform policy team that had the young lady that we talked about, having the president, the vice president, and everybody in that team there. Of course, just beneath, you have Labour passes vote of no confidence on Gbajabiamila-led committee. We wonder why. Okay, we paid 3 million naira for FCC jobs. Witnesses tell reps.
Now, I
3 million naira.
If I have 3 million naira today,
we used to be looking for
why would I? There are businesses to embark on.
You know,
there are
that
things
speaks
to do.
to the kind of MDAs that we have, Ministry Department and agencies. What's the salary scale that somebody will cough out
3 million naira?
Really?
Honestly, they need to get to the bottom, bottom of this story.
Just beside it, resident doctors shelve planned nationwide protest. May call off strike. That sounds like a good news.
Thank you.
But we hope something permanent to be done. Not just protest and then shelving it and then coming back. The issues, the root will be addressed really. A list of 45 confirmed ministerial nominees transmitted to Tinubu, and at the top strip you have Tinubu vows to end over-reliance on borrowing for public expenditure. Okay, if it's just by that, we hope so, and please walk the talk, Mr. President. And here, Kwankwaso, not your mate in politics. NNPP tells Ganduje. Okay, wait a minute. What's going on in Kano politics? You know, the former governor of Kano, that's
Abdullahi
Ganduje, who is now the chairman of the All Progressive Congress, have been talking really in a kind of boisterous manner, you know, since he assumed that office. Meaning, if Ganduje wants to come, I mean, if Kwankwaso wants to come, he's welcome. He can't do this, he can't do that. Somebody on the top, and I think that's why the NNPP has to fire back and make him understand Kwankwaso is not your mate in politics. That's what the NNPP are saying. And you know, the NNPP really dealt very serious blow to the APC and the PDP really in Kano State at the last elections. They won almost all the State of Assembly elections, the reps, the Senate, and the Senate, they really did well. They more than half of that, and that's why possibly the NNPP has to say we are the Hind party here. Our leader, their leader, by the way, Kwankwaso, is not your mate, so please be guided. That's all there is about Daily Trust.
And we'll just quickly flip over some of the other stories because before we take a break here. The Guardian newspaper is next from me this morning, and you have that story: fear of sovereign debt defaults takes toll on banks' economic outlook. You have that bold picture there. That's the countries with the highest debt risk as of 2022. You can probably please take your time to look for where Nigeria is. Nigeria is somewhere just above Morocco there. And below that, you have Niger military option open as Tinubu orders more sanctions against individuals and entities there. Optimism, the Tigress potential amid NBBF basket case. What does that mean? If you're interested, please check it out. Tinubu Sanwo-Olu members mourn Odukoya's passing. We as well mourn and we say may his soul rest well. Tinubu moves to end over-reliance on borrowing for public expenditure. Mr. President, we will gladly appreciate it as a Nigerian. On the top strip, that's green colored section of the Guardian newspaper. Federal government's National Assembly meet aggrieved doctors ahead of planned protest today, but some papers have stated that it's been shelved. The protests have been shelved, and the tendency where they call off the strike is there as well. We just hope both sides, the federal government, the resident doctors, will come to an amicable solution and prefer solutions so that, please, when I entered some of the hospitals yesterday, I was there for a reason. Look, you needed to see patients just there, nobody to attend to them. And it's not going to be too nice. It's not actually too nice.
The
it's not
brain
actually
drain
right.
situation has really affected. So the few ones that are left things should be well taken care of so that they don't just get to leave the system.
Honestly.
Because sometimes you enter a hospital, just like you have said, you are seeing some doctors. If something happens and you have to visit the same hospital, you won't see this. Hardly will you see the same set of doctors. Not because they are not on duty, because everybody has japa.
Yeah, but the positive remains. We'd like to thank our
the
doctors
few ones that
are remaining in here. We thank you for your diligence, for your hard work that you've always put in, day out. Thank you for being there for us, because doctors, you're all nurses, all medical practitioners, you all are very important. That's what it looks like at this moment in time. We'll take a break, and when we come back, let's look at quite a whole lot of things that we want to discuss at this moment in time. What has governance been in Osun State in the last 8 months or thereabout, ever since the assumption of the office of the governor of Osun State, His Excellency Governor ADEMOLA Nuruddin Jackson Adeleke? What has it been? What have been things that Osun residents, Osun citizens have been able to say thumbs up? And either way it goes at this moment in time. Stay with us. We'll be back.
Fumilayo Ransom Kuti was an educationist and advocate of women's rights. She was recognized for her vitriolic comments against colonial policy of taxation as it affected the Nigerian women. Bere, as fondly addressed by her women followers, Fumilayo championed the initiation of universal adult suffrage, which gave an unprecedented leeway for women to contest elective offices and power to exercise voting rights. Married to a foremost educationist and teacher, Israel Oladotun Ransom Kuti, the first president of Nigeria Union of Teachers, Fumilayo Ransom Kuti was the mother of children who inherited her spirit of activism. Olufela and Be Kololari, the former, a renowned musical legend. She was the first female student of Abeokuta Grammar School and the first female to own and drive a car in Nigeria. The award recipient of Member of Order of Nigeria MON and Lenin Peace Prize, was born on 25th October 1900 and was killed on 13th April 1978 by rampaging road soldiers in Lagos. Western Spring Television identifies Fumilayo Ransom Kuti as a watershed character in history. Olayinka Herbert Macaulay, politician, nationalist and journalist, was the first Nigerian to qualify as a civil engineer, surveyor and architect. Born on November 14, 1864, Herbert Macaulay was the founder of Nigeria's National Democratic Party, the first political party in pre-independent Nigeria. Scholars of Nigeria's political history describe Herbert Macaulay as the intellectual bulldog of 19th century Nigerian nationalist movement, in the deference to his qualities as founder and leader of two foremost political parties, Nigeria National Democratic Party (NNDP) and National Council of Nigerian Citizens (NCNC). His matchless versatility in party organization and control kept the British colonialists on their toes in the entire span of his active life. After his death on 7th May 1946, Herbert Macaulay remains a hero of his country, which recognized his anti-colonial struggles. Today, Nigeria's 10 naira coin bears his oval face and trademark mustache. Western Spring Television identifies Herbert Macaulay as a major character in history. Kiriji War, also known as Ekiti Parappa War, was waged among Yoruba main ethnic groups which emerged from the ruins of the falling Oyo Empire that were desperate to replace the awesome powers hitherto wielded by the Alaafin of Oyo. The Kiriji War is defined as a conflict of confederacy and unitary political system championed by Yorubas of different socio-economic and political interests. The Ibadan military aristocrats felt they deserved a dominant position for saving Yoruba land from being totally submerged by the Fulanis by their victory in Osogbo War of 1840 and Ijaye War of 1862. Kiriji War, that took its name from the booming motor sounds of European arms, festered for so long because the Industrial Revolution in Europe provoked high standards of slaves. The 16-year Civil War also caused the emergence of new powerful kingdoms like Ibadan and the rise of powerful personalities like Oluyole, Ogunmola, Kurumi, Latosha, Shodeke, Fabumi, and Ogedengbe. One of the fallouts of Kiriji War was the birth of creative political and leadership structure in Yoruba land that was a blend of federalism and the autocratic monarchical system. Western Spring Television identifies Kiriji War as a watershed event. The Korean War of 1950 to 1953 pitched North and South Korea against each other in response to intrigues by nations beyond their border with different interests from those canvassed by the two brother nations. The Korean War had all the nuances of an external conflict induced by powers that were interested in subjugating North and South Korea. Japan had leveraged on its military power to annex Korea in 1900 and imposed a military union that did not sit well with the citizens. Japan not only lost its war of conquest against Korea, all its powers were obliterated by the effect of the World War II. The end of World War II got Korea divided into two nations along 38 parallel lines by the instrumentality of the United States of America and the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic. The Korean War lapsed into a Cold War when it stopped the prying eyes of external forces into the internal affairs of a nation now divided along its north and southern territories. Western Spring Television identifies the Korean War as a major event in history. Samuel Laduke Akintola was a frontal figure in the historical moves that birthed an independent Nigeria from colonial Britain. As a freedom activist, he deployed his wits, energy, intellect, and oratory skills to prepare the grounds for constitutional talks that eventually culminated in the country's independence in 1960. The 13th Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò of Yoruba land cut his teeth as a politician when he became a foundation member of Action Group, the dominant political party in the Western region, and was elected the party's parliamentary leader of opposition at the Federal House of Representatives. The crisis in the action group which pitched Samuel Ladoke Akintola against his leader was not only a sore point in his colorful political life, but a reversal of gains which characterized the exemplary leadership of Awolowo Akintola premiership. 23 years after his death, Oyo State University of Technology Ogbomosho was renamed Samuel Ladoke Akintola University of Technology to keep his memory alive. Western Spring Television identifies Samuel Ladoke Akintola as a major character in history. Born 16th September 1923, named Harry Lee Kwan and known as Lee Kuan Yew, he was often addressed by his initials of LKY. Lee Kuan Yew was a barrister and the first Prime Minister of Singapore between 1959 and 1990. Educated at Raffles Institution from 1936 to 1940 and the Fitzwilliam
Thank you for being there. Born in Spring is still the program right here. And I'd like to welcome my dear brother back. Sheyomota, it's good to have you back in the house. And we definitely look up to greater things to happen up in here. All right. At this moment in time, we want to look at quite a whole lot of things that have been stated. And we want to get clarity from the source of all what has been going down here in our dear state of Osun State. It's been massive since November, where the new administration of His Excellency Governor ADEMOLA Nuruddin Jackson Adeleke took the helm of affairs in our dear state, Osun State. What have been the goals? What have been the achievements of this government in the last couple of months, about 8 months or thereabouts? And the sustainable development goals of this administration. What has it looked like? A couple of years ago, we saw where, in terms of education, where Osun State ranked, it was a very pitiable situation. But we'll try as much as possible to look at what it looks like the sustainable development goals in the world of education and in the world of other things associated to that aspect. Joining us live in the studio this morning, it's a pleasure to have the Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Sustainable Development Goals in Osun State, Ambassador ADENIYI. First of all, I would like to say thank you for finding time at a very short notice for being with us, Ambassador. Thank you and good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
FEMI.
How you doing?
Of course, I'd like to welcome you as well.
Thank you so much.
Good to have you here. You have a lovely smile back there. Yeah,
thank you.
And of course, the conversation today is still about the state of the living spring, Osun State. We'll be speaking to the former, okay, the candidate for the Young People's Party, YPP, in the July 16, 2022 election in Osun State, Dr. ADEMOLA BAYONLE. He joins us live on Zoom this morning. Doctor, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good to have you here.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
All right.
It's all good. Yeah. You can see there's a difference between being in Nigeria and being overseas. Oh, wow. We'll look to that. Thank you for joining us, Doctor. Right. Let's just let's gentlemen, let's begin the show. There's a new administration took the helm of affairs November 27th last year, and here we are, August. We're looking at about 9 months at this moment in time. Let me first of all, before we get someone who is in-house totally with the governor, let's start with Dr. Bayonle. Tell us, you contested under the platform of the YPP, and it was youthful, and we looked at what played out at that moment in time. As it is now, monitoring the affairs of what is going on in our dear state of Osun State at this moment in time, are you satisfied with what you are hearing and what you are seeing when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to governance, in particular, governance at all levels in Osun State?
Thank you so much for that question. Well, again, there was a reason why we contested, and we saw what was coming. We looked at where we are and the potential for us to grow and what we can do. Well, I would say, fortunately, unfortunately, a lot of things still remain. I have told my people that, you see, 4 years is a lot of years to just wait and not say anything. So if you follow my social media handle, I've continually tried to pickle the hairs of people in their affairs to some of the things that I think that we can do better. So for me, I mean, there are a lot of excuses we can bring to the fold about some of the commissioners or what have you, or members of the cabinet just coming up, but we have not really been, I have not really satisfied with the traction I've seen on ground so far, just to put it mildly and in summary.
Okay, you know, Dr. Bayonle, some will say you don't really stay here in the country or in the state really, and so you are someone in the diaspora. That your assessment of what is going on in the state, are you in the kind of place to really measure what is on ground? Now, politics is over as far as that gubernatorial election is concerned. Now, the reality of what has transpired from November 27 last year to today, August 9th, do you really have the eyes, the ears on ground to really measure and appreciate the progress or otherwise of what is really happening in the state?
Well, in human nature, I'm sure you are in one location as you're speaking to me. You probably don't know what is going on either at Elisha or in Belgon or in Iwo. I will tell you that I can put it to you that there's a possibility that our informations are just also limited based on the where we are at the moment. But the world has become a global place, a flat place. I have more information than you will actually think. I have people in the cabinet. I have members of party on ground. I have families in the state. I listen to almost all the dailies. I am also carried along by different media. So it's going to be laughable if somebody thinks that, okay, because you are not physically present, you don't actually know. I think any politician or any administrator that actually put those kind of points forward, it shows the myopic nature in that front. I have been I've flown with somebody before who even analyzed Osun better than what I thought somebody who is actually not from the States will be. And you see, whatever you are giving out is also as important. Even for people who do not live here. A lot of investors probably might not live in Osun State, but they want to listen to what is going on in the state. So they probably have maybe some information like I do, or they gather the same information like I do. So it is important for us, whatever aroma we are giving out. I mean, when you are cooking and you're giving it certain aroma, you're like, no, you're not looking at the pot. The soup is good. It tastes good. But the smell I'm hearing is really not, it's not comparable to probably what I think it should be. So, like I can tell you that much, that I have first-hand information about what is going on, and I can, in fact, solidly back it up with facts.
Okay. Let me hold you down for a while, please. Just stay as we are. Let's talk to the Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Sustainable Development Goal, Ambassador ADENIYI, at this moment. Tell us, what has it been like for this government? What are the things when it comes to, I said something earlier during my introduction, that Osun State during the last WAEC, it wasn't not this WAEC, about the one before this one. It was really not too good for Osun State candidate. Looking at, I think we came
years,
for it's been like that. Education wise and the sustainable development goals. What are the plans to take? Let's take it one after the other, which time would permit us. What are the plans by this government when it comes to education, to take that education to the level at which we belong? And when we say belong, everybody aims to be number one. Is it possible? What are the plans of this government? If you kindly will tell us.
Thank you. Good morning once again. The administration led by His Excellency Senator ADEMOLA Jackson Adeleke has put so much effort in education and other parts of the administration. Yeah, as you've said, the last years, the results we've got it so far from the education is not yes, at all. So now the governor has really reviewed a whole lot of things and partner with international organizations, and all of both international and local, to make sure that in terms of education and other part of the government succeeded. So now, for instance, from my own office, we partner with international organization like UNESCO, to support the education in Osun State. So, in fact, next week they are coming down to Osun State to get the first-hand information about the whole thing in Osun State, and to see in one area or the other where they can support the government to make sure the education sector, for instance, changed for better.
You know, education is part definitely of the purview of your office. Talking about the SDG, your special advisor on that to the governor. Now, the plan of your office, the SDG, beyond education, is there a plan? What is that office about? Is there a timeline? What are the deliverables, really?
All right.
Let's look into that.
All right, thank you so much. As you know, SDG is the global goals is under United Nations. So we've been working closely with United Nations and other agencies of UN. For instance, you know, we have 17 goals of UN. So the first one is zero hunger. So how to make sure everybody is okay. So we have been working closely with international organizations and with federal government, because there is office too at the federal level, which is Office of Senior Special Assistant to the President on SDG. So we have been working closely. Immediately I assumed office, I was thrown into action to partner with international organization and the that office in at the presidency to make sure what is duly for Osun State were given, and to make sure we keen into the UN programs, and in order to alleviate poverty, hunger, then education in all ramifications.
So how do you plan to internalize these things? Talk about the goals, 17 of them.
Yes.
Zero hunger, education. So the people, Osun people wants to know, beyond the UN, UNESCO being involved, the federal level, we're talking about the state here. How do you plan to internalize it? Like a measured kind of plan that people can really lay hands on and say between this time and this time, this is what your office is able to do.
All right, thank you so much. I'm saying this because it's not what we can do alone.
Okay.
The state cannot do it alone, and it's not these goals are international goals that we in Osun and other states have to key in. So now the state has partnered with organization to give and support, for instance, in agriculture now. So we partner with some organization to support the government.
Like which organization?
Okay, fine. We partner with FAO.
Okay. What's FAO?
FAO is a international agricultural organization.
Okay.
So to support the government and to support the farmers in mechanization and to make sure we have enough food in the state. So in lieu of this will help the state to reduce hunger.
Is that already happening?
Yes.
Or it's a plan?
Yes. No, it's already happening.
Okay.
In the next, before His Excellency celebrates 1 year in office, you will see a whole lot of plans. You will see it manifesting.
Okay.
God's grace.
All right, let's come back to you, Dr. Bayonle. Are you still with us?
Yes, I'm still with you.
Thank you. Looking at governance thus far, looking at what by the Senior Special Assistant to His Excellency has stated here, how well can the Sustainable Development Goals, from your own experience, how well, what are the other measures that this administration can put in place to make sure that, hey, Osun State citizens, the state itself, everything about Osun State, even if we are not 100% there, if we are still having a 90, it's not too bad. What are the goals? What are the things you feel this government should put in place to attain all this process for us all as a citizen to have the very best of time?
Thank you so much for your question. I mean, you asked the SSA to the governor a very good question, but even me sitting down here, I'm not sure I'm 100% satisfied about whatever he has said. I don't think there's any deliverable in plan. You do not invite UNESCO to come and diagnose the problem for you. I believe at this point, all of us should know the problem that UNESCO is coming to help us solve. It is very interesting that we are moving from education to farming to what have you. And that's the type of administration that we have, unfortunately. If we're talking about SDGs, I mean, at this point, and we're talking about education, even though I'm a doctor, I know that the fourth SDG is equitable and inclusive education. I know what we should be targeting is reducing out of students, number of children that are out of school. What we should be targeting is making sure there's equitable education across board.
Oh boy. Okay. I think communication.
Some connection.
Yeah. We'll reconnect with Dr. Bayonle.
Yeah.
But thus far, let's come back to Ambassador here. Ambassador, let's look at, aside education, poverty is a common thing. It's ravaging the nation. Not just the nation, the continent itself. There's so much poverty. What are we looking at? What's the government of Osun State looking at? Aside the fact that some agricultural firms that are partnering with us, are we looking at the aspect at this moment in time? Let me take it this way. Looking at the aspect where subsidy has just been removed, there's so much hunger. There's everybody's not really having the best of time at this moment. What is the state government doing when it comes to SDG to make sure that to cushion the effect of the subsidy removal? Okay,
in the next few days.
Oh, great.
Government will roll out some palliatives to the citizens, so in order to cushion the effects of the subsidy and to reduce poverty in the society. By the special grace of God, very, very soon, in the next couple of weeks, you will hear even from the televisions and radios, so you will see the plans and the effectiveness of the government regarding to the poverty alleviation and the to reduce unemployment and poverty in this society.
Well, looking at the health sector, sorry Femi, looking at the health sector, if you're not healthy, I'm not sure by now you'll be here, even for you to have traveled early this morning back into town. Looking at the health sector in Osun State, are there things this government is doing to cushion the effect of high payments one needs to do? If, God forbid, nobody wants to fall ill, but there's no way the body system at a point in time needs treatment. Is there anything on the sustainable development goals of this administration, your very good office, to have plans, or you already have plans for the citizens of this state that, hey, should FEMI fall ill, there is something that is what
the cost of accessing good health
services.
Okay, thank you. In fact, it was last week, His Excellency approved for me, for my office, because one of my the goals of the SDG is health, as you know. So he approved for my office to stock all the hospitals in Osun State with drugs and to pay some of the bills of those that are hospitalized. So in order to relieve the citizens in one way or the other. So he approved that for me, in order for the people to feel his impact in the government.
Wow. All right.
That's okay.
Just to stay on that, you talked about the approval done by His Excellency for your office as far as health is concerned. Now, the question now is, in keeping up this hospital with drugs that you talked about, which of the hospitals? Is it the state-owned hospitals, private hospitals, or, the maternities, the primary health centers? Which hospitals are we talking about?
Government-owned hospitals, maternities, and the hospitals built by the SDG. Okay. So those are the ones we are dealing. We are not dealing with. We are not yet getting to the private. So we are working on the government-owned hospitals.
So from the health centers, the maternities,
primary health care,
state hospitals involved?
Yes. They are all involved.
And has that resumed? Has it started?
He just approved it for me last week.
Okay. So when are we going to see the effect?
In a couple of days by the
because your Osun people are watching, Nigerians are watching.
By the special
I want to hold you by your word.
Yes. In a couple of days. Everything will swing into action by God's grace.
Okay.
On a lighter note, probably I'll be one of the first patients. But let's come over to the aspect. The youth are always the fundamental part of any development in any country or any state. The youth of Osun State, fabulous young men and women, ladies as well. But there's this aspect of drug abuse. It's always been there that Osun State, as Omoluabi as we are here, there's that as much as common to virtually every state. But the aspect of narcotics, drug abuse in Osun State, is this government looking towards that direction to take all these young people off the road, off the slums, and to make them, rehabilitate them into the society?
Yes, government have a very fantastic plan for the youth. One, we want to get them empowered. Is because some of them are not empowered. They don't have anything doing. That's why they are frustrated and by going to drugs. So one, we have plan which will be executed very, very soon to empower almost 30,000 of them.
Wow. So young people?
Yes, by the special grace of God. So we have the plan at the corner. So from my own office, we are going to empower them. Some of them that are already into drugs, we are going to rehabilitate them and have some centers in each of the major cities in Osun State to rehabilitate them. Then take them off and empower them to get them doing something in order to stay away from all those hard drugs.
Ambassador, it's a very good point that you have just made about empowering the young people. You put a figure at 30,000 of them. Through which means?
Okay. Oh, well, thank you. We are going to have some entrepreneurship centers in major cities, especially Oshogbo, the Ilesha, or major cities, to empower them, to train them in different skill administrations and to empower them. So by so doing, this will encourage them. Is because, you know, Anande said, a devil's hand, I mean, an idle hand. So we are trying to do that. So in order to reduce those poverty and getting them into art drugs. So once they have something doing, they wouldn't think of going to drug or anything. They will be focused and have future.
Occupied.
Yes, occupied.
When will this be?
You mean?
When will this kick off? This empowerment?
No, it will keep up by September, by the special grace of God.
Next month.
Yes, next month, by God's grace. We are going to have the entrepreneurship centers. So, as I've said, once again, Excellency we have some center built by the SDGs. Okay. So we want to equip them. It was just a few days ago. It get us to furnish those places with some equipment that they will need. So by the next month, everything will have been ready. Then we start by the special.
When, Ambassador, where will the finance come from?
Thank you. Earlier, the 17th goals of SDG is partnership. Yeah, that's true. You can see I'm hammering on partnership with Osun State, as you know, is a civil servant state.
That's what they say. That's what they say. That's what they say.
So, His Excellency is working towards transforming that notion to an industrialized state. So, we partner with all lot of both international and local to make sure Osun come out from this perspective. So, we have some financiers, donors, both international and local. Okay. So, and some we are going to do counterpart funding, so that Osun State will give 50%, while they will also give 50%. So we've already partnered with so many organizations in order to execute all these projects.
Ambassador, before we leave that point, how will this selection be done? Okay. Because we've had empowerment in the past that people will argue and say, these are just for your party members. And you get to see politicians say, even our party members are indigenes of Osun, so don't speak on that. How will the selection be done? Because part of the SDG is inclusiveness. Yes. And, you know, just you take it two in one. How will the selection be done? Which demography, or will it be a political thing, number one? And talking about gender equality is part of the goals as well. So these two questions in one, because many persons have said in the selection of the commissioners, the special advisors, the women are not well represented. And that falls under the purview, one of the goals of the SDG. So one, the selection of the 30,000 and gender equality in Osun State.
Thank you. It's going to be allocated equally to each local government.
Who picks it?
Thank you. We are going to have a platform. Okay. They will register. Okay. Then we are going to select the qualified candidates in each local government evenly. Assuming we are taking 200, it's going to be throughout the local government in Osun State. Okay. So that's how we are going to do it. Then second question is inclusiveness.
Yes, gender equality.
Yes, we are going to do that too. Definitely, there will be their data on the platform. Yeah. So we'll know whether you are a male or you are a female. So through that, we'll be able to select.
So registration, is it? Are they registering or something?
They will register.
Oh, okay. It's going to be online.
Online.
Oh, okay. We'll keep our fingers crossed.
And it's open to every member of the society.
Every member of Osun State indigenes.
All right. So I think good times are definitely coming to our dear state, Osun State. But we've just been told that Dr. Bayonle is back on the line. Dr. Bayonle, are you back with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you. Don't worry, things will get better. The network issues, we'll be able to have it clearer. Now, what do you make of the commissioners that have just been put in place here in our dear state? Satisfied? If you have to bring it on a ratio of 1 to 10, what's it going to be like? What's the percentage going to be like for you?
I'm very, very emotional about this. Just also because some of these things have very direct impact, sincerely, and even I'm sure as an intelligent person that you have seen, as a media person, you are also assessing the quality of what is on ground. And I think it's just largely subpar for me. And it's not as if we do not have quality, educated and inspired or people driven that can pull some of these weights. But I mean, we tend to beat around the bush and look for people who probably can't, look for square pegs in round holes and wonder where our problem is coming from. The interaction even from the studio so far is heartbreaking. It's just really heartbreaking. These are very sensitive sectors that that is going to go on without an impact for another 4 years. I mean, if you're talking about SDGs, there are indicators there. Like you guys have said deliverables, but I'm not seeing it. Maybe I'm too harsh. Maybe I'm too.
Don't you think it's just a matter of time? It's a gradual thing. It's coming up gradually.
If it's not, you don't put people's lives on that kind of pedestal. Like I said, governance has consequences. It's not. You don't say, oh, I want a doctor that's not well qualified because it's still going to get there to treat me. Just use me as a guinea fowl. I mean, I'm sure you get better. You're gonna die. So those are the kind of things that you don't play with the lives of people. And the list is very similar to what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing. I mean, we have sensitive posts that we think that can deliver quality or should deliver quality and service to the people being taken by politicians and people who are just giving away on the platform of nepotism and what have you. Your Commissioner of Health, if I may say, is somebody who probably doesn't have any background in law, a lawyer for that matter. It's sad. Imagine we have the kind of outbreak that we had in 2020, had a repeat of it. And I always tell something, once something has happened once, it will happen again. You just have to make sure that you have your preventive measures in place so that you can mitigate the second reoccurrence. So if we have people who share offices, for instance, the governor, for instance, has taken almost more than 4 offices to himself, and not only to himself, probably to people who are not capable, just because of family ties. In developed countries, these are crimes, these are criminal offenses, I would say. These are impeachable offenses. So I can't go beyond it, unfortunately. And if we take a sample of one thing, even what I'm hearing, it's I don't even know I'm going to sleep tonight.
All right.
I see. No, sorry. Let me just round up. Okay. I see things that should. If we're talking about drug abuse, everybody that is using drugs, they are not all illiterate. There are people who should probably be in school. What's the demographic of the people we're talking about? What is the interventions? What do we want to do? And even work with the health sector with them, the mental health and some other stuff. But we just say, okay, we're going to empower them. What do you mean empower people? It's not only illiterate that use drugs. What are the primary preventions that are put in place? What are the secondary and probably the tertiary effects? These things have consequences. So it's just a lack of granularity. And you see, when you want to go and play football, and you see Ayimba and you see Brazilian football team, you know which one will deliver. All right. That's just the unfortunate thing.
All right, Dr. Bayonle, Ambassador, you want to respond to that?
Well, I can see Doctor is still playing politics. I can see, though it's just a matter of time, as you have said. For instance, some of the appointees are just assuming office. Please just give us time. With time, you will see where we will convince you. That's all what I can say.
Dr. Bayonle, some will argue that with your line of thought, is it still politics for you? Is it the opposition thing, or that's the reality? Because definitely these commissioners have just resumed office, but then you have talked about their capacity, putting the round pegs in the right hole, and what have it for you. Now, Governor Adeleke, if I may, Governor Adeleke is 9 months in government already. Definitely, we can't say he's new, but for you, in reality, is it still you are just trying to criticize as an opposition party member, or is really the reality on ground?
We have to move away from politics.
Okay.
We have to move to governance. It's in fact, I told myself and I tweeted or something that we have to pray for the governor at this point, because if he fails, all of us fail. But I hope he has the capability to open up his mind and understand that things are not all political. It's just because we understand the importance and the impact of governance. If you do not put the round pegs into right hole, it is disastrous. And we don't want to wait for 4 years, at the end of 4 years, and start explaining ourselves out. There's no component of politics in what I'm saying. I have not mentioned the party at all. I am just talking about the realities on ground. Bola Ahmed Tinubu is less than 60 days, about 60 days in office. Even his appointees alone, even the nominees alone, from the nominees alone, even before that, you have seen what he has done. He has generated so much news and so much ripples across the state. Even the appointees, the confidence that he confers is just different. When you hear them talk about issues, you will know these are people that are going there to work. So sometimes when you see the lineup, you can have confidence and hope that something will happen. And you will not tell me that as there are basic things. Don't let me use, I don't want to be using imaginary excuses, examples. There are basic things before you can assume office. If you're putting the right, or it's not the day that you assume office, you start learning about transportation, you start learning about healthcare, you start learning about, no, it is not a space to learn 100%. You should have 70 or 80% of the knowledge before you even assume office. What are you doing there without that knowledge in the first place? So this is not we don't have time. This is time bound. This is 4 years, a 4-year project. So if we are using 1 year to learn, I don't know when we want to start getting results. And think about it. People will start writing JAM, people will start writing WAEC, people will start writing NECO. People have even started writing exams already. So are we still going to tell ourselves that the team is still learning? Those are the things that we're talking about. I am telling you, in Osun State, there are people who are capable, who are driven, who can deliver more. And even their presence inspires confidence. Look at what Bola Ahmed Tinubu did yesterday. And I'm not an APC member, but I'm drawing this from the type of confidence I'm even having in his administration. I didn't campaign for him. I was even by the sideline. I'm a member of the Young Progressive Party. Bringing a 400 level lady into presidential advisory council inspires so much confidence in his administration. And you can see that he probably has something for the young people. So you will say, and all of us also always say that how Saturday will be is Friday that you know it.
Yeah.
You don't get. Imagine I remove your pants and I want to give you an injection and I will start opening YouTube. I say because I just started yesterday. Those are basics for crying out loud.
Thank you, Doctor. Just hold on.
Of politics here. This is just the realities on ground. There's no time. Again, the administration has like 3 years, 2 months to go.
All right. Just please hold the line there. Coming back to Ambassador here, most especially, I made mention of the fact that youths are very important part of any development in any society. Yes. We saw what, just like Dr. Bayonle has stated, we saw what Mr. President did yesterday, that young lady from the University of Ibadan. Yeah. And I was making fun with my colleague here. The Premier, it's always good to be a student of US. Off school. Thank you, brother. What are the things being put in place? Are there things put in place for the youths? The youths are the future of any nation, any society. Are there things, His Excellency? We know he's an all-rounder entertainer, but we need to see some activities in administration, put in certain offices. Ambassador, please help us out so that probably Dr. Bayonle will know that, His Excellency has something in stock for the youth as well.
Beyond the empowerment that you have talked about.
All right, thank you.
So when we are saying empowerment, maybe we should break it down. Sorry for butting in. What is empowerment? So that you can also help us explain.
Okay, great.
All right, we'll do that now.
All right, thank you so much. His Excellency agreed, and he knows that the youth are the heart of the government. So he has put so many youth in government who he knows that they can deliver. We have so many young men and women in the government that they are around, so they can deliver very well. So the government is working and it has a lot of plans for the youth, for the states to know that the governor is working.
And that's the plan that my colleague is asking about. You've talked about the empowerment thing, or the doctor is saying, what empowerment are you talking about? You know, being part of governance, really. Like, okay, the SDG now, at your office, how are the youth involved? What's the place of the youth in the day-to-day running of that office? You calling the shot there.
Okay, thank you. We have from A to Z of the SDG. It's being run and it's still be running by the youth. You know, we have 17 goals. So we have plans to engage youth.
I assume you're a young person yourself.
Yes, I am. I'm under 40.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So we have youth we have been engaging in one way or the other for each goals of the SDG to make sure we engage them in one way or the other and to make sure they are engaged.
All right.
You know, one of the goals is affordable and clean energy. And of course, climate action. You know, that's the conversation in the global space.
Yeah.
But some persons will say, how does that affect me in Osun State? So let us into that. When we talk about, you know, we have been hearing global warming, the ozone layer, blah, blah, blah. How does it impact on us here in Osun State?
Okay.
Because it's one of the goals.
Yes. 2 months ago, if I'm right, Excellency set up an advisory committee on the climate change, which is chaired by a young guy of 40, under 40, I mean. So to engage youth and organization to make sure this climate change, for instance, to orientate our people, the citizen, about the danger of climate change, like erosion, all these issues, be careful. So we engage youth. The committees is working assiduously to make sure to sensitize the citizen about this issue of climate change.
Oh, beautiful. Because of the want of time, Dr. Bayonle, let's take a parting shot from you here. What would you have wanted to be seen at this point in time in our dear state, Osun State? His Excellency, 9 months is not a thing. Should have been at least 1 or 2 things you feel he should have put in place from your own side.
And we would love to invite
him you got to come back.
We would love people. He's a young man. Yeah. We would love to have him around. So Excellency is running an inclusive government. So we would love him to.
So let me thank you so much. Like I said, this is very emotional for me, and because Osun State is my state, my dear state. Whatever happens there impacts me. I have family members. I have, no matter how much you succeed, your roots, you still go back to your roots. And I wish and I hope and I pray for the governor to get it right. 9 months is a lot of time. A pregnant woman will have a child in 9 months. There's so many things that will happen in 9 months. I was hoping we'll be hearing about the flood at Ikire and how the climate change is impacting what Osun State is doing in that perspectives, and how we're moving to renewable energy, and how we're fixing some of the things that we should be talking about. So I hope that the government looks inward. I hope that they look for quality hands. I hope that they are magnanimous in victory. I hope that they embrace administration and they embrace good governance. I hope that they do not bring in all these components of nepotism and actually attract. Let me tell you the truth. There's nobody will listen to some of these things and want to come and work or who want to come and invest in an administration that they know that is probably heading for the rocks. So, like I said, they are extremely. I don't have to be. They are very brilliant people in Osun State, and I can tell you for free. There's so many brilliant people who are ready, who are apolitical, not partisan. But they probably need to be sought after and can deliver good governance. I think that the governor is looking, he can't be an administrator, and he's going to oversee about 12 sectors. There's a lot of, the unemployment is all-time high in the state, and it impacts youth disproportionately. I hope that we'll start talking about that. Healthcare is very important in the state, and it impacts everybody across board. We have a very high out-of-school children. There are a lot of people along our express route selling Iru, selling Kiri and Akara, and the rest of it. There's a whole lot of things that have very important consequences on our future. So I hope that the government, the governor, maybe because the ball stocks at the table of the governor, to actually look inwards and puts and actually fixes some of these deficiencies. The lineup is not interesting, I must tell you the truth. Giving us mattresses and telling us it's going to impact our growth, giving us boreholes and putting generators there does not look good on the state. It's just a whole I don't at this point.
Just one, producer, if you can just take one. And two questions, actually, if you can answer in a minute. Dr. Bayo, you know, two questions, just like I said. Number one, what will your ideal Osun State be? Your ideal Osun of your dream, if you can do that in 30 seconds. And the other 30 seconds, you lost at the last gubernatorial election in July 16. Will you still be running for the office again?
Okay, so let me answer the second one first. The second one is that because of what is happening presently in the state, I have decided to take a backseat, but a lot of people are angry. Let me tell you the truth. And in fact, I've received, in the last couple of weeks, I've received so many calls. And that is inspiring enough to continue to think that because the call is about the passion for the state to actually develop, and there's room for development. So there's a possibility there. To the first question,
your ideal
what is
your ideal Osun?
The Osun of my dream is a space or a state that a young man or a young woman can actually grow, can see all the necessary components that can drive into that self-actualization without knowing anybody. Just a space that you can grow by yourself, just by what the government or the leaders of the state are put in place, and just by your hard work, you can get to that. You can achieve that self-actualization and get old and be accomplished in life. So I hope that can become something like that.
No doubt about that. Ambassador Adeniyi, Adeyemi, I would like to thank you. Your parting shot. You're giving us assurances that, empowerment will come in, and there will be developments here in Osun State, even as we move on this journey together. Dr. Bayonle, enjoy your stay. Thank you for finding time to join us on Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. Thank you.
We'll be expecting you soon, October.
All right.
Also, Ambassador, a big thank you to you. He is the senior special assistant to the governor on SDG matters. Thank you, Ambassador Adeniyi, Adeyemi. That will be the show, the midweek edition of Morning Spring from Western Spring Television. And we want to thank the entire transmission team, directors, producer, to the entire camera team. Thank you to to you all for being there. Tunde IDOWU is my name, and you can get to watch all these and go back and check us all out on all our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Western Spring Television. At Irresistible TD on X or Twitter, either way you know it now.
Yeah. And you can also join our YouTube page as well for a live show every morning, and of course a recap of this program as well. Femi Ojo is my name. Enjoy the rest of your day. God bless Nigeria.
Morning.
Discipline. My discipline is that you should not be rude, like you should disrespect people.
Alright, what's your name?
Samia.
Alright, congrats on your last exam. So how do you feel?
I feel very happy and excited.
Alright, so how do you feel? I feel very, 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 very happy. Yeah, how they write that last paper like this, I don't want to say, or make I press full stop, make I come outside, say, I know they do again, say, alright, so what's your discipline?
Industrial chemistry.
My discipline. Yeah. So now listen, I want to do with this. Industrial chemistry now. What's your discipline? Civil engineering now. So what's your discipline?
My discipline is that you should not be rude, like you should disrespect people.
Oh my days, you are more worried to your law.
Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela was an anti-apartheid activist who gave his all for the elimination of what has been described as the world's most vicious rule of the unjust and man's inhumanity against man. He was born July 18, 1918 in Mvezo, South Africa. Educated and trained as a successful legal practitioner, he took up the gauntlet of a human activist against segregation by the minority white supremacists in South Africa. At the climax of his trial for treason, orchestrated by the minority South African government, the great crusader for democratic equality was prepared to pay the supreme sacrifice to establish majority rule in his native land. He told white jurists that if achieving freedom for his people was worth his life, he was prepared to die. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in Robben Island, described as the most notorious prison in the world. It was from this same prison that he came out as a free man to assume office as South Africa's first black president in 1994. Western Spring Television identifies Nelson Mandela as a watershed character in history.